Hi guys, welcome to yet again another video. Thank you so much for clicking on this channel. So as you can already tell from the title of this video, I am going to be doing a little get ready with me with a little impromptu story time. So if you're interested in hearing the story time, do carry on watching. But before we get into this video, if you haven't already, please do subscribe as well as hit that notification bell so you will be notified the next time I post a video.
Don't wanna hear it. I wanna see how rewind when we rewind.
Okay, so I decided to do my brows off camera because I thought it would just make things a bit faster. So yeah, as I was doing my brows, guys, so I was thinking then, and I just thought of something that once happened to me. So this whole thing is gonna become more of a story time, ne? Okay. I actually didn't take my palettes. I didn't put my palettes here. So just a sec. So there was once a time, ne? Back in high school. This was back in high school. I can't remember whether it was in grade 10, beginning of grade 10, or end of grade 9. I'm not quite sure, but I know it wasn't grade 11. It wasn't, definitely not grade 12. It wasn't grade 8. It was, the thing is, this whole thing happened so quickly. I can't remember exactly in which stage of my life I was in, like in terms of high school, like which stage of high school I was in or which age I was in, but I was sure because I was in high school at the time. So I so happened to have this dude who lived not too far from where I stayed, like a couple of houses away from where I lived. So you know guys how like in the township, there's this, I wouldn't necessarily call it like a tight knitness, but then there is compared to like suburban areas, suburban. Oy. Nobody is a master of pronunciation. But anyways, in my suburb scene, you know how in those areas you tend to, how can I put it, I wouldn't necessarily call it a disconnect, but then everyone is just focused on their lives, in their household. No one's really bothered about their neighbor unless their neighbor is making a noise. Urban neighbors, guys, yo, they mind their business, but in the township it's different, everyone is sort of into everyone else's business, not in a bad way, but it's just like, well, to a certain extent it can get like, terrible, and it's like, hi boo, guys, Pela, this is my house, that's your house, like, yeah, well. But it's kind of thing, you find that everyone is aware of just the dynamics of each household, for example, you know which house like has the strict parents and the people there don't go in and out as they please. You know which house, where the kids probably just, live la vida loca and all of that stuff. Like, those things, yeah, but the nitty-gritty parts. Not necessarily nitty-gritty, but you just know, yeah, well, how certain households are run. So Ududi knew basically just how everything was run ekaya, so Udud decided to ask me out, and in my head at the time, naive me is thinking, oh shame, he must really like me, yeah, bo, to want to be with me. Because guys, if we're being completely honest, the way in which, like, I wouldn't necessarily say my household, but ekaya, yeah, the way in which my parents run their household is that they're very, very strict, and I think I've mentioned this before. they're very, very strict. Like, girls don't wander around as they please. Like, the boys actually have a curfew. That's how strict they are in terms of not being out of the house. The only time you go out of the house is if you're going to work, you're going to school, you're going to church, when there's a need, basically. Not just I'm going to see my friends, I'm going to nakhona futhi, if you're going to the movies, my dad is going to drop you off and ask you what time does the movie end, and by the time the movie ends, my dad's going to be outside waiting for you, and so nje. But this guy Gubo, total opposites. And guys, when I'm talking about total opposite, I'm talking about day night. Fine gay uduri gay. He asked me out, you know, for lesos kashana. And eventually I'm like, okay, yeah, what dude must really like me. Bo. Because he knows, see, this thing is not gonna go anywhere. Like, it's not gonna go anywhere, guys. Like, you know, like a relationship where you can just tell la, there is no window of opportunity for anything, like anything. Bo. So I'm like, eventually I'm like, okay, so okay, must really like me. Bo. So I eventually I say yes, and we start going steady. Bo. We go steady, and at this point, guys, mind you me, this dude named he lives like literally a couple of houses away from my house, to a point where if I'm at home we had like a garage, and on the garage, our house basically was a level that was above road level or street level. I was able to see his place, like vividly see his place. That's how close it was. Like literally, probably there were like, I think three is a little, maybe about 5 to 6 houses between my house and his house. Like, but it was less than 10. That's how close it was. Like, I think if I had like a really strong throw, I could probably throw a rock into the yard. Like, that's how close it was, guys. But I barely saw him because that's how strict my parents were. But still, guy was keeping the energy. Like, he was keeping the energy shame. And I thought to myself, oh, yeah, boo. So cool. Eventually we get to a point where it's like, okay, let's devise a plan, boo, to be able to see each other. And the plan was that because at the time, Mina, in the mornings my dad would actually take me to school. My dad would actually take me to school, and then in the afternoon I'd take a taxi back from school. So in the afternoon I'd also be the only one like who's at home, but only like for a couple of minutes. It wasn't even that much of a gap until like my brother or someone else came in and stuff. It wasn't that much of a gap. So cool. We decided it's okay, fine, we are gonna see each other in like a way that is just because guys, let me be honest with y'all, this had to be like my most innocent relationship ever. I don't think there's a relationship even on earth today that was more innocent than the one I had with that guy. Like, besides it being the most innocent one I've had, I think in general, it is just like, it takes the trophy when it comes to innocent relationships, to a point where if I actually received an ass whooping like for being in that relationship, it would have been such a waste of an ass whooping, because it's just like, really? Well, it was one of those relationships. Like, we decided, because obviously I take a taxi after school. He's gonna sort of like accompany me from my taxi stop, when I reach the hood, because I used to take 2 taxis when I was coming back. I'll take one that will take me from school and drop me off in the CBD, and then the next one would take me to the township where I lived. So when I get to the township, obviously we'd come to the taxi stop and we'd walk back together and we'd just talk. So basically the difference now is that the conversation, instead of having it via, I think it was Mixit at the time, or WhatsApp had just started, I'm not quite sure, but having it via like social media, or yeah, I can't remember whether it was Mixit or what, or I think WhatsApp was just still fresh, but anyways. But instead of having the conversation via text, now we just have it face to face. Yeah, bo. And guys, because we were neighbors, it wouldn't be much of a scare to see, like, technically we were neighbors. We were not like next door neighbors, but we were like neighborhood neighbors, if I'm making sense. So it wouldn't be much of a scare to people seeing us just walking together, yabo. Unlike if we were like hiding behind a bush or something like that, then okay, fine, okay, cool. Like that would have been pushing it. I get to the taxi stop, I find him there, and we walk together. Mission a success. Name. We walk together. We don't even, like, guys, we don't even hug. Like, once I get to my place, like literally it would be a hi sharpbook type of thing. Your township moms or your hood moms or whatever the term may be that you're gonna give them, you have to be afraid of them as much as you're afraid of your own parents, like, period. Because mina nje, futhi ke my parents didn't play that game of ukuthi, why did you hit my child? No, they'll ask you, the child, what did you do? Like, you wouldn't be able to come on some mama who hit me, and then they would respond on some no, they'd literally first thing they'd ask was, what did you do? Like, my parents are those type of parents first, and then okay, fine, if it was a matter of that parents did something that you wouldn't do as a parent, then they would like sort of intervene. But if it was a matter of they were reprimanding you and they reprimanded you correctly, it's not even gonna go anywhere. We did it for like a solid, I think, week, and then but nothing came out of it, like in terms of no neighborhood lady came on some, I've been seeing these people, and they probably noticed it, but because literally we were not doing anything, like we weren't even holding hands, so to a certain extent you'd think, like, if you were in your house you wouldn't even realize that we were actually talking to each other, like, because of the way we'd walk, especially when we got nearer to like our streets. The way we'd walk, it would literally look like, it was just a coincidence that we were on the road at the same time. But honestly, guys, like, in hindsight, I realize now, no, it could, like, once could have been a coincidence, maybe twice could have been a coincidence, but every day for an entire week, but anyways, we move. So cool, okay. Dude, we do this whole thing of accompanying each other for like a week, and then the following week comes as well, and we do it Monday, I think it was up until Thursday, and then Friday comes and I try to text him, I try to call him. Dude is not responding. ne. And I'm like, hey bo, kwetsahalang? Yeah bo. I tried every mode, guys, at this point, like, because at first I thought maybe he didn't have any data. I tried texting him and I said, okay, maybe he doesn't have any airtime, and I tried calling. His phone would go through to a point where I think it ended up going straight to voicemail, and it was just like, "Haibo Gunzagalan." Yeah, bo. So I get off the taxi in my hood. I start walking home. This is Friday now, right? I start walking home. Ne? And as I'm walking slowly. Like literally I am walking like in a zigzag type of motion, because I'm thinking to myself, in case he calls on Sam, where are you? I can literally be 5 steps away from where I was when I called him initially. It gets to a point where I even reach home, guys. Like I get to a point where I reach home now, and it's just like, okay, then I'll only be able to see him on Monday, because obviously the weekend is out, ne? Because I don't leave the house. Yeah, well, so I'll only see him on Monday. And I was kind of bummed, but it was whatever. There was nothing I could do at this point. But at this point, it was just me now trying to figure out, is he okay? Yeah, well. And I just kept calling, kept trying. But still, his phone would send me straight to voicemail. And I was just like, yo, I really hope nothing bad happened, yeah, boy. And I was starting to get worried. And I think I did mention this, that my house was above street level, so the kitchen window would look directly onto the street, ne? And I think I just finished eating my afternoon lunch. Yeah, like that lunch you have after coming back from school. I just finished eating my afternoon lunch, and I see Udud walking past. And Udud is walking towards the direction of where I come from when I'd be coming back from school. So he's walking towards the direction of the taxi stop. And no, it's not what you think. He's not going to trick me. No. He was actually walking with this other girl that I didn't know and didn't even recognize from a bar of soap. And he was carrying a baby. An infant, Bahlali. Like, an infant. I understand what you ingane incane. Like, obviously I couldn't tell how old the baby was, because it was like a baby, guys. Like a baby. The way it was wrapped up in those blankets, it was a baby. Ne? To a certain extent, I'm not even sure there was a baby in the blankets, but obviously because of the way he was carrying the blankets, I assumed there was a baby. I tried to call him, but he didn't pick up, but his phone went through, and then like all of like the ticks and stuff started getting like double ticks, and started getting the red like the red symbol, like past tense of read. And he started responding, and I asked him like, oh, so because I was asking him like, are you okay, he started responding like, no, I'm fine, I'm cool. And he didn't like initiate the conversation of the girl, and I was like, oh, okay. No, I was a bit worried, and I was like, so who's that girl that you were walking past with, like you were walking with? And he's like, no, the girl had come to do his sister's hair. I know, right? The girl had come to do her sister's hair. Guys, like, I did mention this. The person, like this dude, guys, they are so free, ne, in his household. It's not like me. Like me, now, guys, maybe if it was me, if it was like I was the girl, I was the sister whose hair was being done, then yeah, but I'd understand because I'm not allowed to go out. But bona, they're free, ne? They're free, like that's in their household. They can. I'm not sure whether do whatever, but like I would always see them around the streets, yeah, well, and it was whatever for them. It wasn't like with me. Ne, like what was I saying? Yes, I'm not that type of person, Mina, who like when you know in your spirit, Uguti, something's amiss here, but then because you don't have the receipts, I tend to not want to ask unless I have the receipts, ne, or I have like partial receipts. I tend not to ask, ne, or to like dwell on something. And another problem I have is that I tend to, how can I put it? I wouldn't necessarily say I can't think on my feet, but I tend to piece some of the stuff out a bit late, like, because I'd get your answer, and some of the things that I think of, like maybe 5 to 10 minutes or even a day after, I wouldn't have thought of it at the time when we were actually having the conversation. And one thing about me, at the time, I'm no longer like that. I was that person once, a conversation has passed, I wouldn't be the one to sort of initiate it again. Yeah, but now I forget. If I realize something doesn't add up, I'm gonna start that conversation again, and we're gonna talk about it as if it's the first time. But before, I used to like be that person where if the conversation passes and I didn't ask you that specific question, I wouldn't necessarily let it slide. I just would wait until another opportunity arises to ask. Mind you, me guys, the dude is the oldest dude, ne, in his fam. Like he's got like older siblings and stuff, but like sisters. But the sister whose hair was being done is younger, one, so she could have gone and accompanied the girl back. And two, he's even got like younger bro siblings, like he's got younger bros that could have done the whole accompanying thing, yeah, bo. But because I didn't ask him whether or not the bros were home and all of that, I don't want to assume, yeah, bo, too much. And I really don't like making assumptions that much. I tend to prefer to get answers, and even if like something hurts me, I'd rather be hurt by something that like someone actually tells me rather than something that I assume is actually going on. Mind you, me at this point now, I'm even paying attention to his sister. I realized Uguti, like her sister didn't change the hairstyle from what she had. So like what's the story? What's the deal? Like what was happening? Was the girl coming to do the center part of the hair now? Like what was yabo? But I didn't ask that because obviously it happened after we had the conversation. Everything was going well. It was yabonje for like a week. We did the same thing week after week after week, and I think there was a long weekend that was gonna take place on a certain weekend. I forgot what the long weekend was for or what the public holiday was for, but it was going to be those long weekends that ended on a Monday, if I'm not mistaken. So the next time we're going to see each other is obviously now going to be on Tuesday. Yeah. So okay, cool, but it's whatever at this point. So we're sitting on top of the garage near. It was one of those days that were like, I wouldn't necessarily say they were hot, but they were more on like the humid side, like the humidity was quite terrible. Like it was like it was too hot to be out and about, but also it was way too hot to be indoors. Yeah, bo. So it was more of like a sitting outside type of situation. And my brother was sitting like sort of like on the edge near of the garage, like on top of the garage, and I was sitting towards the wall, the lounge wall, like but on the outside. So angazi if I can like explain it, like, but it was like the wall, and then it would be the wall, and then it would be like the top of the garage, and my brother was sitting here and I was sitting here. Ne? So if you're walking like on the road, my brother could see you, obviously, and I could also see you, but to a certain extent. And even the people on the road could probably see me, but wouldn't necessarily be sure as to who exactly is there, yabo type of thing. Like you wouldn't even see if someone was looking at you, because it was like, it's not like super far from the road, but it's like the angle is terrible. So we're sitting, ne? And it so happens that this dude walks past, and he's walking past alone, ne? And he has been rather quiet this entire day, and he walks past alone, and they greet each other with my brother, and he carries on with his journey, ne? And he's walking towards the direction of the taxi rank, or what am I saying now? He's walking towards the direction of the taxi stop, ne? And a couple of minutes later, he comes back, ne? And when he comes back, I could see him from far, ne? Uguti he's coming, and I then could see Uguti he's not walking alone. He's walking with somebody. And I sort of look at him, but at an angle, ne? Even if he saw me, I don't think he saw that I saw him. And as he's walking back with the girl. Yes. Can you imagine? Like. And a couple of minutes later, a friend of my brother's also walks past, and he stops by my brother, like on the road though, and he's like, have you seen Usbanbani? And then Usbanbani is the dude, and my brother is like, nah, he's at home, he's at his place, ne? And the friend is now like, are you sure, bro? Go to his, I really don't want to go to his place and find that he's not there. And my brother's like, I'm sure he's at his place. He actually just walked past with his girlfriend and baby.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Yes. And can you imagine when I'm sitting there and I could hear them? My brother didn't know, ne? He probably did, but we thought he didn't know that we were seeing each other, me and this dude. So my brother is just saying it's Jay confidently, and like there's nothing wrong, ne? He's okay, like it's whatever. Like I had already made it up in my mind that I was no longer gonna be with him, because like he lied to me. I think more than anything, he had the opportunity to be how can I put this, to be honest with me, ne? Because it's one thing when you're caught and then you have to speak the truth, but then I feel like it carries more weight and says so much more about your character when someone asks you blindly and you're honest to the person. Yeah, well, unlike when someone comes to you already with the receipts, and it's just like a matter of you just confirming what they already know. Yeah, well, so Monday comes, Mugeli leaves, and guys, at this point I was like outside pretty much the entire weekend. If I could, I would have probably slept outside, because I was just like, I wanted to see her go. So I knew, like, because I was how can I put this, I was so desperate for the answers. Yeah, but at this point, even though I think I'd made up my mind at that point to know Uguti, like, no, I'm not gonna carry on with this person, but I just needed like answers, ne, to just hear Uguti, what was the excuse, what was the reason for lying, like,
What was the reason?
yeah,
What was the reason?
and yeah, so Monday comes, and Ugeli leaves, and Tuesday comes. Now it's time to go back to school, and it's because Monday was the holiday, so it's time to go back to school. Ooh, I think the glue is too dry on this one. And it's time to go back to school, and do the things, everything is still good as normal. Like, we're still good, we still, you know, we're still popping. And that wasn't the case. That definitely wasn't the, ooh, like, that definitely wasn't the case. Like, things have changed now, brother. Things have changed. So Ududi, he's like asking to see me, he's asking me what time am I coming out of school today, and it's just like, bruh, you really gonna be like that? Like, you really not gonna talk about what had just happened this past weekend? Oh gosh, like, you really, like, yeah, boom. And I was like, no, I'm not in the mood to see you. And he was just on some, like, I'd like to take some time or get some of your time to be able to just explain like everything. And I was just like, bruh, you lied to me. What is there to explain? Like, you lied, you lied, you lied, like, that's it, like, you lied. And because me and I, being the curious cat that I was like, okay, fine, I may not give you a chance to speak to me in person, but I am gonna give you the platform now online to, yeah, well, to say your piece. So, good dude, his reasons were, can you imagine? His reason was that he was afraid to lose me. God, how can hey, I how can you be afraid to lose me when I'm the one who came second? Nah, that's what he said. Now I'm getting even more pissed off at this point, guys, because I'm like, even your justification to the entire thing is like, now you're undermining my intelligence. Yeah, well, it was bad enough, Wuti, you were hiding this whole thing from me, but it's like, now you are now just like point blank disrespecting me, period. My thing now was like, if you love your kid so much, which he does, guys, don't get me wrong, but you are able to, okay, maybe deny is a bit of a strong word, but now it's sort of like a lack of a better word, so I'm gonna use deny. But you can deny your child, name, to someone who ultimately, compared to the child, is basically a stranger to you. How important is that stranger then? Like, if you can deny your child to a stranger and say, no, this is not my child, how important am I? Yeah, well, so I thought to myself, no, my feelings, are not safe with this person. I honestly cannot afford to invest, you know, more feelings that I've already invested. Because at that point, guys, the thing is that hurt the most. I was at that point where I was starting to let my guard down, like with that dude, because obviously growing up and being like the last born and stuff, and having like older brothers and stuff, and just basically seeing how like life is, you tend to, and the way in which we're raised to understand men, and that they only want one thing and one thing only. And it's just like I was getting to that point where now I was like, remember those walls of built, baby, they're tumbling down. Like I was there, yeah, boy. And I was starting to genuinely, have feelings for this person, and it wasn't like the childish, crushish thing. Well, I don't think I was like in love, but like like what do you know? I don't know. But yeah, well, so I was pretty hurt, I'm not gonna lie, and I was just like, no, I cannot, guys. Like I'm unable to I'm unable to I can't carry on with this whole thing, especially because now I'm gonna be like sort of in a waiting period with you, to see how everything pans out with the whole situation. So I can't, like, I really honestly I cannot carry on and be in a relationship with you, because it's just like, oh, me waiting for when you devise a plan on how you're going to be able to see your child but not be with the girl. Because ultimately that's what he was trying to tell me, is that he's still thinking of a way in which he can still be a part of his child's life, because obviously he loves his child, but not be a part of the girl's life, because like the love is gone according to him. And I was like, nah, bro, I'm too young for that stress. Like, to be honest, ain't nobody got time for that. Like, nah, I'm too young for that stress. Like, I can't. And guys, Gincheli, I think they carried on for like, yo guys, I even left high school and they were still going steady with that girl. I even left high school, they were still going steady. So can you imagine, Uguti, had I been that naive and were like, okay, I'll wait for you, yo, probably I would have been waiting up until like maybe 2 years ago. Like, can you imagine? Like, yeah. So yeah, that's how like things ended with the dude. Like, we still kept in contact, like in a sense that obviously we neighbors and stuff, but it was just like, nah. I'm sorry guys, I had to cut this video the way that I did, because I realized it was getting a bit too long and my battery was dying. So yeah, if you would like to get probably an in-depth like sort of tutorial as to how I achieved this look, then I don't mind doing a tutorial. But I think I do have a tutorial here on my channel. I'll probably link it here, that is similar to this look. I think I've done this look before. Yeah, so yeah, thank you so much for watching this video up until this far. If you enjoyed it, please do give it a massive thumbs up, as well as don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and also hit that notification bell so you will be notified the next time I post a video. So until then, bye.